year was 2374. Peace has reigned in the 50 years since the defeat of the invaders from planet Felis. The rodent folk of the planet Aden, having suffered devastation at the hands of their numerically, aerodynamically, and technologically superior feline foes, could only triumph through the lowest and most undetectable methods. The introduction of the voracious bacteria of Aden proved deadly to the Felicians. Armed with a vial of ordinary germs, the late General Gorgonzola was sent in a relatively simple rocket to land on Felis, and upon introducing the bacteria to the planet, destroyed practically all organisms on its surface. A necessary sacrifice for our continued civilization. Not a single sign of life would show since, including from the General. In the time since past, the remnants of Felician technology have been adapted and mastered by our kind, and our nations, having put aside their differences in the face of extraterrestrial conflict, entered an age of stability and prosperity. This was not to last. There was no signal sent, nor a flash of light or a sonic boom, only the disparate reports of Felician attacks from all corners of Aden. Drones piloted remotely from beyond oblivion, armor and artillery with empty cockpits that walked despite, and a wave of sustained panic across the sea and the sand. As the greatest telecommunication experts of our time worked to locate the source of these attacks, both the terrestrial and interplanetary militaries were fully mobilized, every willing and able-bodied rodent called to arms. And with the memory of the previous war still clawing at our minds, the vast majority were more than willing, most of all myself. Standing in line, our squadron, equipped with arm cannons and magnetic propulsion suits, stood still in the aerial hangar above the Eulicidian Ocean. I glanced up at the communication deck and looked into Sasha's eyes, or as I was required to refer to him while on duty, Signaller Shropshire. Already I had considered how, while I would be hearing his voice throughout the battle, this may well be the last I see of his face, and judging from his expression, he understood this as well as I. The thought was snatched away as sunlight seeped through the gradually opening gateway, and the troops in front of me leapt out. Having not a second to regret my being, my breath, and my heartbeat, I dove forward in their wake.
Do you hear me, Lieutenant Wensleydale? Contact has been called. A swarm of drones and dropships at 12 o'clock ahead. Prepare combat formation and remain on guard. Lieutenant, an enormous foreign object has been detected, 9 o'clock to your left. Is there anything visible?
Indeed there was. On the horizon was a towering bipedal mech with a feline visage, a replica of those from 50 years back. Despite all the footage we had seen in those years since, very few were alive to remember the sheer scale of such an object. And as the titanium walker seemed to detect me, it bounded towards me, crossing the water in a matter of moments, and its staggering hull landed behind me. The monstrous machine had cut me off from the rest of my squadron. In spite of the overwhelming power of the walker, I proved too small and nimble for its being to reach me, and as I flew within a few feet of its spindly knees, I fired both my rifles at its joint, and I brought the dreaded machine down into the murky blue beneath.
Come in, Lieutenant. Has your target been neutralized? The remainder of our squadron were encircled a few kilometers from your coordinates. It's a miracle you were cut off and survived on your own. The remnants of a handful of decimated squadrons have been regrouped into a force to break through the enemy lines and investigate Felis. A signal has been pinpointed coming from there. There's no saying what could be happening in that wasteland of the planet, but the survival of our civilization may depend on it. I'll switch our contact link to extra-atmospheric.
His mention of the contact link was enough to inform me of where I had to be. ZR-25, the military's only space station in orbit of Felis. I steered myself upward and made haste to exit Aiden's atmosphere, the encompassing blue dimming into an eventual black as I escaped our planet's grasp and prepared to cross the inner asteroid ring to Felis.